going up against Team Liquid, and just some things here to focus on is 2v2 has always been a great set for Space Station Gaming. Team Liquid struggled a little bit with it this season, but they changed things up recently. Let's look at the rosters for Space Station Gaming, starting off with that 2v2 duo, Crap and the God RF. Of course, Lapicati has been lights out in that 1v1 set. He's actually closed out every single win that Space Station Gaming has had, whether it's been in that 1v1 set or in King of the Hill. And lastly, Samuel Basoto is a guy that we've only seen play one game this season, wondering if we'll see him pop into one of those 1v1 sets, maybe the second or the third one, Rich.
Their opponents today, Andrew, the defending world champions, Team Liquid, and not much has changed with the faces of this roster since adding in Igor. They've been pretty much set with this group, but this season are really interesting. You know, we've talked about the shortened season, how teams struggle with it. Team Liquid limped their way into playoffs. They had the 2-0 in the final match. They got it done, and here they are. Surgical Goblin and Canario were the 2v2 duo most recently. We'll see if that stays the same. And of course, Igor, the Mortar Master, who clutched up at CRL World Finals. And then Diego B, who has been with Team Liquid since the beginning, a big part of this roster. We'll see if he's with Canario in 2v2 or Surgical Goblin when we get into that opening set.
One really interesting thing to think about with Team Liquid here is with Surgical Goblin, most likely, there he is, playing that 2v2 with Canario once again. Obviously, AC and RF coming out for Space Station Game. We've got Miner and Tornado banned. I'm very curious, if we do get to King of the Hill, will we see Surgical Goblin in that set? We haven't seen him play much head-to-head at all this season, and that's something that we usually tip our hat to Team Liquid, right? Is once it gets to King of the Hill, you get Igor, Canario, and Surge, and it seems like it's impossible to run through. I'm very curious, if we get there today, will we see that lineup, and is it as dominant as it has been in the past?
Well, Space Station certainly has their own Fire King of the Hill lineup, where most likely you'll see Samuel, RF, and Lapicati. Of course, a much younger, less experienced on big stages like this group, but doesn't matter. First, you have to get through those opening sets, and let's start with the kickoff. Set number 1, the 2v2, AC and RF at the bottom of your screen for Space Station Gaming. Top of your screen, the goated one, Surgical Goblin, and his teammate, Canario. For Team Liquid.
I couldn't ask for much more for 2v2 duos to start off our playoffs, having these 4 guys come out. I am so freaking excited, man.
You have 5 of the top winningest 2v2 players in the game in this set between AC, RF, and Canario. And Canario is a guy who was quietly one of the best players in the league in Season 1 when he was with G2 Esports, and then has since then with this grouping with Team Liquid really shown and taken the center stage as being one of the best players in competitive Clash Royale.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, and Canario is one of those guys that has always kind of blown our minds with his gameplay, and now watching him be a 2v2 All-Star has been a really cool way to see his career evolve. And there he is, Rich. We haven't talked about it yet. Balance changes are in, Skeleton Dragons are in play, and that Fisherman buff is something we're going to see a lot of today. You were telling me about the tournaments that you host, and basically since the balance changes came out, we have seen a ton of Fisherman and Hunter paired together once again.
Fisherman Hunter specifically, and you used to see some Fisherman P.E.K.K.A, some Fisherman Mini P.E.K.K.A in previous Fisherman metas, but Fisherman Hunter right now seems to be the most dominant combination, and it's popping up everywhere. So once we get into that head-to-head play in the 1v1 in King of the Hill, expect to see a wide variety of decks that do run some combination of those two, because it really fits in a wide variety of archetypes.
Yeah, and that charge-up speed being reduced is massive for having to deal with reaction times on things like a Charging Prince, a Bandit dropped at the river, having to pull a Giant to the opposite side of the map, or a Royal Giant. That Fisherman reduced time is a massive buff, and I'm really, really happy to see it.
Fisherman Night Witch go to opposite lanes for Space Station in the back. Fisherman supporting the Goblin Brawler on the left-hand side, Night Witch to the right. We are now in double elixir time. Not much has happened so far, but here we go. Full-on, raged-up Lava Loon push on the right-hand side for Team Liquid.
Yeah, raged-up Lava Loon. You got Musketeer, Mega Minion, and Baby Dragon behind. Freeze comes in on both sides of the map. That balloon is going to come through with some death damage, but does not quite connect for the big drop.
Clutch snowball there from Space Station. Here we go, final 30 seconds of regulation. And that's a big chunk. Baby Dragon belching 1358 on the right-hand side. Space Station in a lot of trouble as we head towards sudden death.
Yeah, Musketeer could just not get the damage where she needed it, focusing on those lava pups. Graveyard does finally come out, which we can kind of expect looking at the makeups here from AC and RF, and of course the freeze being dropped on defense kind of showed their opponents what they were most likely running. Gets a little bit of a blow there, but still behind by about 400.
I'm both surprised and not surprised, Andrew, to see Space Station running Graveyard. Of course, This duo loves to run double graveyard. You think maybe in a situation like this, you don't go with the deck that you're best known for, but here today they say maybe with a new meta, we have a new look. We'll see if it can pull off the win here, but that balloon's getting awfully close to tower and just barely stops short.
Yeah, that last second freeze, we'll see if it actually was necessary or not, and we'll see if that elixir was needed here in the long run. That 4 elixir spent on the freeze now maybe making it a little bit harder to support this graveyard push, but P.E.K.K.A in underneath that Inferno.
Log wipes off some of those skeletons. Final 90 seconds of sudden death overtime, and just like that, SpaceStation takes a very, very slight lead. Dark Prince unshielded, going the opposite direction, and now maybe a reset here for this final minute to see who can get that last big chunk of damage to take game number one.
Going all offense here so that Liquid cannot support that Lava Hound with the balloon like they enjoy to do, and a lot more damage coming in. That last sequence where the Baby Dragon took out the Inferno along with the poison to keep that P.E.K.K.A alive is the reason we have SpaceStation in the lead, and here we go, pouring it on at the river. It feels like Liquid is in a world of trouble.
Fisherman goes coast to coast on that one. 61 HP, tower down. SpaceStation takes game number one. SpaceStation with set point.
Yeah, so last game, you know, these 4 gentlemen decided to take it a little bit slow. This game, not going to be the case.
Yeah, looking like it might be that quadruple bait from SpaceStation. And potentially Royal Giant here from Surgical Goblin and Canario with all the heal spirits.
Yeah, that double bait, you know, Tornado being off the board, don't have to worry as much about King Tower activation. And we'll see here how Liquid wants to fare against this very, very dominant deck in the 2v2 set. And that's a
Fisherman out and Dark Goblin for Surge and Canario, and you see the bait going to both lanes so far to open things up. Lumberjack to the left-hand lane and the right, or no, just to the left-hand lane, and just a little bit of chip on the right-hand side, and there we have it, the Giant Skeleton.
And that was an interesting tell early on by Surge and Canario. You saw they double drop the Lumberjack and the Dark Goblin to take off the Goblin Barrel on the left-hand side, so AC and RF decided to go Goblin Barrel to the right, maybe already recognizing that their opponents may not have all the answers they would like for double bait.
Well, they have the zap, they have the log. The question is when it starts getting to those 4 different pieces. You can stop the first one, stop the second one. But as we've seen, it's the third and the fourth that cause the real trouble.
So zap out. Log going to come down probably on this barrel. There it is. And now we'll see how AC and RF want to attack, knowing that the best spells are out of cycle for Team Liquid.
Slightly ahead on Elixir is SpaceStation Gaming as they pass the midway point of regulation time. And here we go. Goblin Barrel to the right-hand side, and that requires a 6 Elixir drop to deal with that 3.
Yeah, and that's a huge, huge thing to take note of. That's a game that they're going to want to play time and time again, or winning these Elixir battles. But here we go. Huge push. Mega Knight at the river, though. Great response to this sellout push by Team Liquid.
And there you have the Royal Giant. I mean, Fisherman right now, one of the popular archetypes in head-to-head play for Fisherman is in Royal Giant. Lots of people playing that Fisherman Hunter with Royal Giant, Log, and Fireball at the moment. So we'll see if they also have that Fireball as a big spell mixed into this 2v2 variation.
Yeah, right now looking, though, like Team Liquid in a bit of trouble. Maybe Mega Knight comes down again. Do they have 2? No, it's going to be a P.E.K.K.A this time. Up high. RG coming on through. Log's back, but will get a shot or 2.
And that's the idea with that Fisherman. Pull the P.E.K.K.A off the RG and give it some more room to play. So right now, things very close. 98 HP separating the 2 on the right-hand side, and they both have the same idea. Let's go all in. We'll see who can play better defense here in this final 15 seconds.
And they need to do a really good job on the bottom of the screen of separating out their spells to make sure they're keeping this RG either slowed or knocked back for as long as they can once that Inferno Tower comes off the board. But now SSG going on the heavy offensive both sides of the map.
Split pressure, Lumberjack high onto the Musketeer. Gonna rage up here at the bridge. We'll see if Surge and Canario choose to push anything behind that. Looks like not, and Poison on the left-hand side getting a lot of value.
Yeah, they recognize that log coming down on the right-hand side from, I believe, Surgical Goblin, who's holding it. And then as minute that log is out, they go Goblin Barrel opposite lane, and it is just devastating. Now only 431. We're getting very close to spell cycle range.
Heal Spirit does survive. Royal Giant gonna have to contend with that tower, and that might be 254 left-hand side. SpaceStation should have this one. Fireball comes in, Poison comes down, and a clean 2-0 to open up their playoff run.
And this is exactly what we were talking about. It really felt like SSG did not even break a sweat in that 2v2 set. And that's not to say that Surge and Canario didn't play well, but it really looked like between the decks and the play style, they were just slightly outclassed. And now come in again, but Samuel Basoto now playing his second 1v1 set this season, Rich.
Let's go ahead and jump into our second set of the match. SpaceStation Gaming currently with the advantage. Both of these, two of the top ladder stars in the history of the game. Between them, over 50 top 10 finishes on ladder.
I thought you were going to do something like between them, 17,000 trophies, which I actually feel like is probably an accurate guess.
Let's see. It looks like it's going to be 16,900.
Perfect.
So you're pretty close there.
That'll be on the quiz at the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen, so please make sure you put note on that.
Yeah, I think you Price is Right rules, you actually lost. Sorry, bud.
So here we go, Samuel.
So Samuel, yeah, Samuel looking like he's going Graveyard and Lumber Loon cycle for Igor.
Yeah, Lumber Loon for Igor, and the Skeleton Dragons come down. This could be a hitting ball on the left-hand side. That Royal Delivery is not going to do what Sam needs.
And that's a huge connection to open things up for Igor. This deck was really popular a couple of metas ago when Heal Spirit first got introduced and has not been as popular lately. So very interesting to see it come back around again.
And to use a word that you and I used a lot at the beginning of the season was min-maxing. That was a great use there of the Musketeer high, offset to the right to clean up everything coming across the bridge on the left-hand side, especially because those Skelly Dragons don't do as much damage as they used to. So it wasn't quite as important for Igor to focus there. And then he gets that Musketeer to help clean up these barbs from the barb hut. Very nicely played.
And that's something we're seeing for the first time here in CRL as well. Andrew, the Skeleton Dragons now available for play. Very curious to see how they mix in, and our first 1v1 game, we see them already on the board.
Yeah, so here we go. Log in the back with Lumberjack to help clean that up. Still a decent amount of damage done because of that Knight up front tanking, but Igor's still in a massive 1,400-point lead.
This deck used to run Bomb Tower instead of the Goblin Cage, especially during the very splashy metas where this deck was more popular.
Yeah.
So very curious to see the Goblin Cage mixed in here and how Igor plans to use it to his advantage.
And it is nice to see the Skeleton Dragons not demanding as much of a response as they had been over the last month or so, just doing so much more damage than you'd like for how cheap they were. So Igor, again, happy to take a little bit of damage from those Dragons, as before they used to be so much more intimidating.
And look at the Musketeer protection he's getting down. Probably one more piece here. Snowball does create some room. Log again. The value that Igor's gotten out of that Musketeer and the second one behind it, tremendous. But we'll see now if he can hold up against his Graveyard push. A lot at the bridge, Andrew.
Yeah, both of these guys did an incredible job of protecting their Musketeers. Samuel actually walks away with the W at the bridge there, but Igor's still in a huge lead, and with only 184 damage remaining, you know that he's going to be able to log cycle things out unless Sam goes absolutely nuts right now, and there's the first log.
Not able to get any tanks across the bridge, and the Musketeer more than apt to do the defense on its own. That's going to be it. Game number one goes to Igor in our second set.
And this is exactly what we're
new. Let's go into game number two and see what kind of looks they give us with their deck choices.
Yeah, I'm excited to see some Fisherman Hunter in the head-to-head play today. Hopefully we'll see a little bit of that.
So both these guys, in terms of their actual CRL careers, don't have a ton of data, but when the data that you have goes heavily in Igor's favor. And this season, 58% win rate between 1v1 and King of the Hill. And of course, don't forget that 5-1 at CRL World Finals for his debut. Basoto, Samuel, now over his 2 seasons, a 35% win rate, not counting that loss from the previous game.
So Sam running it back with the Skelly Dragons and the Royal Delivery.
And it might be Igor going the same way again.
Yeah, very, very interesting deck choices here. Brawler should get 1 punch. Yes, he does.
I'm always curious, Andrew, to see when 2 players run back the exact same matchup they did, to see what kind of adjustments they made. In CRL, I can't remember if this was this season in CRL East or previously in CRL Asia. I think it was this season in East, though. You had Expo Master and Jack back-to-back running the exact same matchup twice, and the adjustments Expo Master made in game number 2 were massive and turned a close loss into a massive win.
Yeah, I mean, it is always really exciting to see mirror matchups, and then, of course, not mirror matchups, but mirror, I guess, game matchups, if that makes sense. You know, running back the exact same deck, seeing those adjustments, and I'm actually kind of surprised that Samuel decided to go with this deck once again, but there's something that he sees that we don't in this deck that he just loves, and right now Igor going to sell out in that left-hand lane. That Musketeer should not be able to get to the balloon very easily.
And there you go, delivery. Oh, the delivery played high, so a misplayed delivery gets a connection on the tower. So you saw Samuel decided not to play Barb Hutton single, which he did in game number 1 and probably cost him that early tower. Here he decides to play defense, but that mistimed delivery, I mean, that again could be everything.
And that's a great assessment you make there. Now the Barb Hut comes down, recognizing that Igor's big time, damage in the balloon was out of cycle, so now balloon comes down, Hut's in a set, in a good elixir position. Elixir position can defend very, very well.
And look, remember in the last game that Samuel did a pretty significant amount of damage. I mean, the problem was he was fighting from behind really early on and put Igor in spell cycle range, even with these 2 small spells. So we'll see if this slightly better start works out even better for him in this one.
Yeah, a lot of coming across the river here, but that Log plus Lumberjack will deal with everything, and Igor still in the lead by about 1,000 HP.
Huge push on the left-hand side. Graveyard in, Lumberjack in the back to try to clean it up. Snowball makes a little bit of room. Poison will get the Musketeer off. And this is going to be a lot of damage here, Andrew. Samuel might be able to take this lead back.
Well, and look at all the units crossing the river right now. You got 2 Barbs, a Musketeer behind, Skeleton Dragons on top. Igor does get a nice Snowball in, but takes a lot of damage and another shot from this Musketeer.
And there you go, just like that. The push does take the lead back for Samuel, and he's already building the second one as that Musketeer takes a second shot. Final minute 40 in sudden death overtime. Graveyard completely overwhelming Igor on the left-hand side. That should be it. The baby dragon, the Skeleton Dragon belches, and there you have it. We're tied up 1-1 to the deciding game of our second set.
I have a feeling we will not see those 2 decks again, Richard. Oh!
Well, definitely not seeing one of them. Miner picked up by the Lumberjack. Who knows what Igor's doing this time?
Yeah, maybe Igor goes, there's no way he runs this 3 times in a row, especially after he dominated, or I got dominated in game 2. Maybe he runs it back again as a bit of a poker move. It's looking like it.
It's certainly feeling like it so far, Andrew. What is going on?
Man, I kind of love the call. If it doesn't play off, obviously, we get to talk about it, no matter how it goes. But right now, I kind of love it.
Well, one thing about Igor is he loves to play the thing that you think he's going to play and just be better than you.
Yeah.
Right? That's what he's known for with Mortar. He outplays people with Mortar when they play counter decks to it. And here he goes, yeah, I won the first one, you won the second one. I'll do it again because I know I can play well with this deck.
And Musketeer does not turn and focus on the balloon. However, the balloon does get picked off the board with the help of the Goblin Cage and the 2 towers there. Very, very close game to start things off.
Talking about min-maxing, Andrew, I wonder about that log on the left-hand side for the Brawler. How much damage would he really have taken for that 2 elixir? Of course, then you see Igor letting him catch up. So, in the end, turns out to be the right call.
Yeah. So both these guys playing very, very aggressive decks, but they're playing them quite passively right now, knowing that obviously 1 balloon connection is devastating, and both of them only having 1 air response in the Musketeer.
So check this out, the Lumberjack's going to pop, and Igor goes opposite lane with the Musketeer out of cycle, but the Cage perfectly pulls here. Does he have the Snowball available to try to reset this thing one more time? And he does. Perfectly defended by Samuel.
Yeah, Sam still now down a little bit of elixir, but obviously 2 units on the board. Igor plays that Cage just a second early, make sure that Brawler doesn't connect on his left-hand tower, but the Musketeer did not cross the river till after the Brawler popped.
The Miner does not quite get there in time. Solid kite on the Ice Golem. Cage should go high one more time, but pulls the Lumberjack back rather than sending the Lumberjack to continue along with the Ice Golem. Snowball, though, more than up to the task. Will this balloon get a raged-up connection? It does! That's a huge one, 1309.
What a great Snowball from Igor. However, look at what happens on the top left and right side of your screen. Brawler connects on the left, and now a Balloon Miner push on the right, supported by a Musketeer.
So here we go, on the right-hand side, a lot coming through. A couple shots from the Lumberjack. Brawler up high as well. Brawler's going to get raged-up shots. Skeleton's forced out here. Samuel has had to deal with some really tricky balloon work so far from Igor, but has been up to the task at this point. Can he continue the same play?
And Sam goes hard on offense. Igor not being able to support his balloon because he had to take the Musketeer off the board on the right. Both of these guys doing a great job of splitting their opponent's attention, and now Sam in the lead on the top right-hand side of your screen.
Lumberjack gets quite, the Musketeer got quite a lot for Samuel on that last one. So we have the general defensive sequence here for Samuel, and chooses not to play the snowball and take the death damage on the left-hand side. Maybe setting up for Balloon on the right. Here we go.
He sure is. He's going to try to save that snowball to get on top of that Musketeer. Goblin Cage is going to come in late, most likely. Where's the Goblin Cage? Where is it?
The cage just barely saves it, but that blue drops, and that's going to be it. Samuel takes the second set for SpaceStation.
And here we go. It's going to be Diego B, all on the line against Lapacati, who is SSG's, home run hitter in that 1v1 set. But, people sleep on Diego. He's got ice in his veins in some of the most crucial moments in CRL history.
And Diego, we talk about him in the 1v1 set, hasn't played in the last 2 seasons, but overall in the 1v1 set, 8-2 in games, 4-0 in sets. So the guy certainly has plenty of success here. So a much slower start here, Andrew, and a little bit of cycle from Lapacati, just the Skelly Dragon so far.
Okay, so Diego decides to leak a bunch of elixir and then save his Royal Delivery to take off the barrel. So I thought maybe he DC'd or something, but looks like he was just happy to take a little bit of damage.
Well, both of these guys making a little bit of leakage just to make better defensive decisions, and you see Diego B timing that delivery perfectly on that Goblin Barrel, and that timing isn't easy, but it's not impossible. You don't have to predict it. Some people say you have to predict that Goblin Barrel, but you don't have to hover it. As long as you're really quick on the fingers with it, you can get it. And you'll see Diego is probably going to miss only 1 or 2 of those at
most.
most.
That was another great example of exactly what you're talking about. And I did want to point out that Diego had a really nice defense there with the Skeletons plus the Skeleton Dragons to mitigate almost 100% of damage from that Skeleton Barrel and create a nice little counter push. However, down a little bit of damage here, Lapacati basically untouched.
Yeah, I mean, this is a challenging deck to be running no true small spell with for Diego, so it's going to be a cycle issue. The time when he will miss some of those barrels with the delivery are times like this, when either it's out of cycle or he doesn't have the elixir for it. Other than that, he should be able to get those pretty well, but the other spell being poison, you're going to see more and more damage chip away here for Lapa.
Yeah, and 1500 is kind of a magic number we talk a lot about with decks that succeed in overtime, or in double elixir time. It would be obviously running one of them, most likely here with the Graveyard. Taking a good amount of damage early on, but he's not anywhere is unrecoverable. Sometimes we'll see people down to 500-600 damage in single, and that seems brutal to come back from. Diego not in the case, and with 2 Barb Huts on the board.
Yeah, quite a lot of Barb Huts. I mean, this Graveyard deck has been the most played deck so far of the playoffs. 3rd time out. So people are really liking this one right now, and we'll see if Diego B can make this Graveyard deck go 2-1, or if it's going to fall to 1-2. So far, Lapacati with the lead, but that Musketeer going to get a couple big shots on the left-hand side.
And you see here Lapacati cycling that Dark Goblin in the back left-hand side. You have to imagine it's because he was maybe looking for that Graveyard to finally come out from Diego. That is going to be Lapo's best response to a Graveyard, is going to be the Goblin or the Dark Goblin behind the King Tower or on the back of the map.
Here we go, sudden death overtime, and still 2 Barb Huts on the board. Lapacati, plenty of elixir, but look at all the stuff that Diego has on the board right now. So much to contend with, and the Dark Goblin distracted. How does Lapacati defend this Graveyard on the right-hand side?
So he gets that Royal Delivery down. Dark Goblin will get poisoned off the board. Musketeer demanding a little bit on the left-hand side. This might be a moment where Lapacati starts to get a little bit overwhelmed, but we'll see.
The longer that Dark Goblin can stay on the board, the better it is for Lapo, so we'll see how much value he can get out of each one of those. Of course, same can be said about his opponent's Musketeer. Final minute, 20 seconds. Lapacati still with a significant lead, but he's playing the chip game, and Diego B's playing the Haymaker game.
Yeah, and that was a great use of the Skeletons there to mitigate all the damage on the top right-hand side of the screen, preserve the HP of these units crossing the river, and now Diego goes back on the offensive. Dark Goblin sitting right in the middle of that poison, but no tank.
Dark Goblin on about 4 elixir lead for Diego B, and a full-on double bait push on the left-hand side. Delivery gets there a half-second late.
A half-second late, and takes the Skelly Barrel drop there, Rich.
Oh, and that drop damage is huge. And this time, Diego now switching lanes here. He has this opportunity. He has this option much more than Lapo has to change up where the game's taking place based on his counter pushes, and that was a nice chunk there. Gonna get under 1,300 HP, and again, Diego switches lanes.
Yeah, Lapo goes opposite lane as well, with only 242 HP remaining on that top left-hand tower. A decent graveyard push, but not a lot. Skeletons connect on the top right. Lapicati now gets to pick where he wants to close this game out.
And a good game comes out for Diego, and that's going to be it. Lapicati now has SpaceStation Gaming 1 win away from semifinals.
What? So here we go. Diego B gives the thumbs up. Lapo gives the good luck. All pressure on Team Liquid right now. Lapicati can sit back, relax, and know that he's got a game hand and 2 sets in hand.
So Hunter to the right-hand side. We'll see if Diego is going Fisherman Hunter with that combination. Lapicati also with the Firecracker to the right-hand side. You might be seeing some somewhat similar looks from these two teams.
Yeah, so now Lapo goes Prince left-hand lane, seeing that the Hunter and a bunch of Elixir was spent on the right. Might just eat this Hunter. He does, and Royal Hogs come down.
Skeletons just by themselves, enough to defend, and there you go, King Tower activation, so it is Fisherman Hunter. I believe Diego B might be running this Royal Giant deck.
Yeah.
I don't remember if Heal Spirit is a part of it, but I believe this is the one. And we'll see if he chooses to RG and single or not, or waits until later. Does have the Fireball for the Royal Hogs, Andrew, but going to be challenging with having to deal with the Firecracker as well.
Exactly. That's the big part of it, is that Firecracker, and how do you get to the Firecracker without using the Fireball. And if you do use the Fireball, you stop the Royal Hogs, right? Because you can't stop all of them with the Fisherman. And, you know, conversely, again, that Firecracker is so hard to get to without the use of the Fireball. And we'll see right now just exactly how Diego wants to deal with it.
Skeletons, Bats, and Firecracker up high. Heal Spirit does get a couple extra shots. 1 shot out of the Royal Giant, but so much DPS takes it off the board. Right now, 3 on the board for Lapicati, 2 extra in the hole for Diego as we approach double elixir time.
And I love the change to the Firecracker. I'm glad they didn't touch her damage. I think just the knockback was something that could create such massive positive trades and, of course, create a counter push. So I like what the balance team has done here to the change in Firecracker.
You see Lapo just a little bit ahead there, so cycles the log and sets up Firecracker to get behind this Ice Golem. Fisherman, though, does not target the Ice Golem, targets the Firecracker.
And look at that. The knockback of the Firecracker makes so the Fisherman's able to get back on top. RG, pretty healthy RG on the tower, going to get at least a few shots in.
This is a rough sequence here for Lapicati, and you're seeing the combination of Fisherman and Hunter. Diego has not put them right on each other yet, but doesn't want to give so much value. And again, Fisherman high this time.
Nice use of the Heal Spirit there again. Seeing those Bats up high, it's going to pop instantly, giving a little bit of legs to that Royal Giant. Royal Giant gets another shot in. Lapicati now behind. You know, Diego doing a great job kind of recognizing the way that Lapo wants to go on offense and the way he wants to defend and kind of picking it apart now.
Split lane pressure here from Lapicati. Fisherman 1 lane, Hunter in the other. Cycles his Prince way in the back and is happy to let that Prince go right up and take care of the Fisherman. Ice Golem does protect from the pull here, but a second one down for Diego.
Massive utility from that Ice Golem. Not only does it help with the push there, but also pops to clean up the Bats, giving a little bit more life to this Prince on the left-hand side. Royal Hogs go down in the right. And this is a slugfest right now.
Log does reset. Nice Ice Golem high from Lapicati to turn things around. Does he protect the Prince from being pulled one more time? Decides not to. Skeletons do get in the way. Fisherman completely healthy, or fairly healthy now. Heal Spirit does get it even bigger, and this is huge. Fisherman pulling so much away from that Royal Giant on the left-hand side.
The Bats and the Skeletons almost working against Lapicati because they're dropped so high so regularly that Diego B doesn't even have to really think about when he wants to play his Heal Spirit. So we'll see if Lapo ends up wanting to use that log to take the Heal Spirit off the board, or if he's going to continue to have to use the log to knock back the Royal Giant late. And there it is once again. High Heal Spirit, late log. RG still gets a shot in.
Diego B has been with Team Liquid for all 4 seasons of Clash Royale League. Of course, he's spent some time with a variety of organizations in Clash Royale, and particularly spent a lot of time with Team Queso before assembling this super team at Liquid. when Surgical Goblin called him up and said, hey, I think we could win CRL. Didn't happen in that first season, but of course now they've gone all the way, become Western and World Champions.
And that was a pretty cool sequence there to see if you have not played Fisherman a lot. You know, Fisherman completely mitigating those wall breakers for a plus, I mean, a -1 trade, but a counter push behind. Oh, that's a big zap.
Miner all the way in the back. Oh, my word. Oh, there you go. The arrows come out. That's going to be a ton of damage, though.
Ooh.
Look at how spread out that was. Miner low, the Skeleton Barrel, and the Dart Goblin, and arrows really not able to get much of anything.
What I loved there was that Diego zapped those bats off the board to make sure that more needed to come out to clean up the Dart Goblin, so then he gets the arrows to come in, Dart Goblin not touched by a Miner tanking for the Dart Goblin, and we all know how much damage that can do.
Lapo now going Miner Spears the opposite direction. Does get a little bit of chip damage on the right-hand side as we cross the midway point of regulation, though. It is Diego B in the lead, 1242 to 2020.
And once again, here we go. Push on the left-hand side, zap high, Fisherman behind, Miner on the tower, wall breakers to Kite. That's going to be tough. Miner's going to get a good amount of chip damage.
Yeah, that's a rough one there, and the Fisherman does not go to the tower. Lucky for Lapacati, 852 on the left-hand side. He's got to figure out some other way to deal with the Skeleton Barrel and to use those bats, because right now the bats are getting nothing done on the defensive side of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Diego B's doing a great job of knowing when to zap, when to let the Skelly Barrel pop and take care of things. So here we go. Wall breakers on the right-hand side, high Spear Goblins to clean that up.
45 seconds left. Miner goes to the outside, and again, this time Bat's going to the Miner, but the zap is just ready. Diego B is a mile ahead of him every time so far.
And you see right here, he plays those bats up high to support the Skeleton Barrel. No zap there, and Lapacati doesn't want to have to use his arrows because he needs Elixir to go back on the offense, and that's exactly what we're talking about, but now giving a lot of value to the Mega Knight.
And might even zap this off here. Miner goes to the bag. Everything's being tanked for.
Pretty good push here from Lapacati.
Wall breakers do go and get one big connection.
But that Miner, bottom left-hand side of your screen, just chipping away and looking like Diego B might steal this one after the reverse sweep.
Yeah, he only does have the zap for direct tower damage, so we'll see. Is there an Inferno Tower to pull that back up high? Yes, there is. So Lapacati currently holding on by the skin of his teeth. 124. We're getting closer to triple, Andrew. We'll see if Diego holds on to that zap to take care of the bats or starts playing a couple of those on tower.
Love the arrows there to clean the Dark Goblin off, but then we go Mega Knight at the bridge. Bats on both sides. Miner does get picked up. There's the zap, and that's going to do it. RF, Canario, and you and I celebrate RF in head-to-head play.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a phenomenal 2020. Number 1 at the CWA Cup, number 2 at the Game History Cup, number 1 at the Red Bull MEO for USA, not to mention his great ladder performances. RF has had a phenomenal 2020. This win right here could be a year-defining moment for the God RF.
And just to remind you guys at home, Canario, he's got a pretty good 1v1 win percentage as well at 81%. Yes, that was all garnered in his very first season, but still, 81% in 1v1. Very, very impressive. 66% in head-to-head, which brings in a lot more games.
First 30 seconds down, pointing off. The Hunter is Canario. Giant Skeleton sets up all the way in the back for the God RF.
I like what I'm seeing so far from the God RF. And we see double dragons coming out for Canario.
Fisherman to pull to the opposite side. This Miner Loom with Giant Skeleton has been fairly popular in this last week as this new meta begins to take shape. We'll see how RF does with it. A huge balloon connection on the right-hand side.
An excellent snowball. And then the High Hunter plus the Skeletons. RF knew exactly what he needed for defense, and he had it in spades. What a great, great sequence there by the SpaceStation Gaming player.
A little bit of burn, but not going to get in the second phase. 1806 to the right-hand side, 1240 for Canario from the Canary Islands. First season with G2. Since then, wearing the blue of Team Liquid.
I'm very, very curious to see on the next sequence with the Giant Skeleton if we see high Skellies from the God RF to distract the Fisherman.
Nice little chunk of damage on the right-hand side here. Again, 893 remaining on that tower as we hit the final minute 15. It is Lava Loon Miner with Fisherman here for Canario, so, or Lava Miner with Fisherman. Very interesting. Obviously, the more common piece instead of Fisherman might be Barbs or Guards or even a Skarmy in some cases. Fisherman is a really unique piece in this pot.
Wow, really, really nice late zap there to help get a bunch of damage on this bottom left-hand tower. Canario doing exactly what we were expecting from him, which is putting together really, really deeply thought-out sequences and picking his opponent's defense apart, and that is why you see as much damage as you do on that left-hand tower.
Inferno Tower not in cycle, so Inferno Dragon, so Canario's gonna have to eat this. Tower's gonna be down on the right-hand side. The big question now is this a tower trade situation? Lava Hound down, Inferno Dragon. That giant skeleton's gonna clean up a lot at the bridge, though, Andrew.
Yeah, RF doing a great job recognizing the Fisherman's already out of cycle. That giant skeleton is not gonna go anywhere other than where our RF wants. And now we see the Miner on defense, just waiting for that lava to pop to throw in the snowball, but taking forever to get off the board.
446 on the left-hand side. A Miner going to have to come in and hope it doesn't get picked up. Fisherman will get on the Miner, does not pull the Miner away, so a second one has to come down here for the God RF. That's going to be it, though. RF takes game number 1 over Canario. Igor ran that Lumberloon heal deck twice, so it's been a fun day already.
Absolutely, and now we're seeing bait looking like it on both sides of the board. Skelly Barrel left, Goblin Barrel right.
Delivery timing on that Skeleton Barrel may be a little bit easier. You don't have to, you get some more time to set up that delivery on the Skeleton Barrel than on the Goblin Barrel, and looking very similar on both sides.
Yeah, I really like what you said in that matchup with Diego, where he was really forced to play that Royal Recruit perfectly every single time, and it's pretty impossible, especially when you get in double and triple elixir time. Your opponent is attacking you from both sides of the board. It feels nearly impossible to hit that Royal delivery 100% of the time.
Here in this situation, though, Andrew, both of them, the big question is going to be about keeping their cycle proper, right? You have the log. The log is what you want to be playing on that Goblin Barrel, and the delivery is what you want to be playing on that Skeleton Barrel. The question is who can force the other person to switch, to mix those up and be playing the right thing at the wrong time.
That was an incredible sequence of defense by the God RF. It really, really was. He got the Knight high, just high enough to get on top of the Dark Goblin that was supported by his opponent's Knight. The Royal Delivery goes low. It was just absolutely astounding, and he took 0 damage.
So here we go. Skeleton Barrel aggressive from Canario. And you see delivery there. The difference is Canario didn't take drop damage with his delivery on the Skeleton Barrel. The God RF did, so that's another factor to think about here, Andrew. Is that Skeleton Barrel drop damage as time goes on?
Yeah, and that definitely does add up, just the way that logs do.
Things slowing down here a bit at the end of single elixir.
Canario feels like he needs to fix his cycle just a hair, whereas the God RF feels like it's in perfect position to defend and create offense.
Well, that's a big part of mirror matches, is getting that cycle down correctly, and right now it seems like Canario might have gotten himself back in rhythm.
Absolutely. That's a really, really big bridge battle to win. Here we go. Log low, going to clean everything up, but that's the way that RF has been playing these sequences. He's looking into his opponent's mind, knowing, once again, because it's a mirror matchup, you know the best way to put together the best offense with what's on the board, and RF is expecting every move out of Canario. I'm wondering if Canario plays something maybe a little unorthodox just to throw RF off rhythm.
Well, he didn't use the log on the previous defense, and now both delivery and log on that Skeleton Barrel. So, a little rough here for Canario. This is the second Goblin Barrel in a row that's made the connection for the God RF.
That's a lot of Royal delivery value up top there. You can imagine he's going to go for it. Yes, he does, and he gets the triple drop around the tower. Skelly's in the back, Knight on the left, Dark Goblin still on the board on the right. And once again, just magnificent defense from SpaceStation.
And now you see RF doing what Canario was doing, using the log to get a little bit of offensive pressure, get the Dark Goblin off the board. The difference is this time it's working out phenomenally for RF, has not worked out as well for the Liquid player.
And there we go. Once again, perfect sequence of defense by RF, coming about 1,000 HP in the lead now, and now has the luxury of using his log on offense, but misses the Dark Goblin.
Yeah, Andrew, that missed Dark Goblin could be huge. and big value for Canario the opposite direction, but the God RF does have a very significant lead at the moment, and now Canario's switching lanes.
Yeah, that was a 9 elixir log that Canario just dropped. Dark Goblin behind the Skelly Barrel. Now log comes in to clean up both. It is a decent blow there by Canario, but RF goes, look, man, I've already got so much damage on the left-hand side.
Here we go, Skeleton, the Goblins do connect, huge on the left-hand side one more time. RF waiting on that delivery, giving up a ton of damage, but in a good position on the left-hand side. Here we go, final minute, triple elixir on its way, 180 remaining for Canario to keep Team Liquid
RF
alive.
now does not have log and cycle, gonna have to go delivery, low, there it is. Now gonna have to play something up high to get on top of that Dark Goblin, while that Skelly Barrel works his way across the map. Skelly Barrel drops, that's damage, 70 in, just needs a log. Log not going to be available.
There you go. G, well played. Canario tries to steal it back, but the God RF seals the deal. SpaceStation is going to the semifinals.
And just like that, our CRL World Champions have been eliminated in the West by SpaceStation with a 3-1 dominant victory today. Diego B kept him alive for just a moment, but the 2v2 was unstoppable, and RF comes back out in that 4th set to close out Team Liquid.
Man, what the God RF did in the opening portion of that match.
Station Gaming will be playing against Tribe, the undefeated Tribe, tomorrow.
One thing you notice there at the end, Andrew, is that RF, rather than play it safe and put the log on defense, he throws the Goblin Barrel on defense and log on offense. Why? Because he knows the Goblin Barrel will be enough to stop that tower from falling, and the log will guarantee the win, rather than the opposite way where you do everything to wipe that push off the board and maybe get the shot, the killing blow on the other side. So